Hello, beautiful people. My name is Marika Gare, and this is the Inspiration Trilogy podcast, a platform for women across the globe to share wisdom, advice, and have some meaningful conversations about things that matter. So, today's guest, we have Celine Brun, who is a mother to three children and an amazing astrologer. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Marika. Hi, everyone.
Look, it's great to have you here. For those listening today, do you want to share a little bit about yourself and your journey and how you got to where you are?
Sure. Um, so I was born in France. I spent the first 18 years of my life over there. So it's a big part of who I am, with having spent my childhood over there and the culture and my accent, as you can hear.
It's a beautiful accent.
So you might not believe it, but I was very, very bad at languages when I was at school. It took me a bit of some readjustment and time to get the English language, but I'm very
Mm.
comfortable with it now. So I migrated with my family. When I was 19, we left France. We came to Sydney, and it was supposed to be for a 4-year period because of my dad work. But within a year, it was wrapped up, and here was the decision: do you want to come home or you want to stay? And I was in love. I fell in love with Australia. I loved the energy of Sydney. I had met a lot of beautiful people, so decided to stay. And I'm quite adventurous. I was, the newness, the culture, the language. I was just keen for a new journey.
Yeah.
But I didn't think 23 years later I'll still be here, you know? So
Well, we're
things
glad that
happen.
you love it here, right? And it's a beautiful time in your life when you are that age and you can explore and try new things, and it's a fabulous time.
Totally. I very much agree. The 20s have captured this time in our life where we're here to explore, to try things out, to take risks. We just don't necessarily think of consequences a lot of the time. And I'm very much wired that way. I'm like, let's just do it. Let's go for it.
Yep. Yeah, me too.
And yeah, it's good, I think. And yeah, then so I spent nearly 9 years in Sydney, and then I was called to travel and explore a little bit more Australia, and I just really connected with the West Coast, especially around Fremantle. I really like the energy around there, so I relocated and started another journey. New one, and so just a new chapter, a new beginning. Um, and yeah, I've been here ever since. So it's 14, 15 years. I stopped counting that now. And yeah, and no, I'm very much living here with my own family and my partner and the kids and the pets and the house and
Do you get to
all
go
of that.
home very often?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I'm very fortunate. I managed to go back every year or every 2 years, apart from the COVID times.
Yeah.
Um, my parents absolutely love traveling, so they come regularly. So often we think, some people that live overseas, sometimes you can live in the same country of your family, but you don't see them much. And I
Yeah.
live on the other side of the world, and we see each other sometimes twice a year. So extremely fortunate, extremely lucky.
Mm.
And it makes me very much appreciate them and where I come from as well. Because I
Yeah.
had a bit of a story around all of this when I was younger. So,
Sounds interesting.
I have a bit of a rebellious streak in me. So it was good
Yes. Oh,
to,
look, I think we've all had a bit of that streak in our younger years. But
you
it
know,
does, you grow so much from it, and it really develops you as a person.
yeah.
Even though it is a little bit on the rebellious side, it really does. And kind of, it just sets you for other things in life, and you become a bit more resilient often from that kind of life as well.
Mm,
Mm,
that's true. And I think separating is part of life. We have to separate from where we come
mm,
from, whether physically or energetically, to find our own voice, to find our own
mm.
style, our own direction.
Yeah.
For me, that was very much a process of
Yeah.
becoming. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. So look, for the listeners out there, we're going to delve into a little bit of the astrology today. So I'm interested to what is your sort of in-depth insight into what astrology actually is? Because I think there might be some misconceptions. You know, there's numerology, there's astronomy, there's astrology, and people who may not know a lot about those areas might get a little bit confused. So tell us a little bit what actually is astrology in a bit more detail.
Yeah, so yeah, it's a very good question. It's the first question, isn't it? Astrology, I think, is going to be described in various ways from astrologers, because there's so many different type of astrology. There's a lot of different schools, so a lot of different approach and a way to make meaning of things. But deep down, it's how we are part of this bigger cycle, bigger forces and cosmos eventually, and there is a co-creation happening at all time in nature and how we interact with nature. But if you move beyond the level or perspective of Earth, all those planets in our solar system interact with each other. And from our perspective on Earth, we are also affected somehow. It creates, it's like a sort of energetic sort of imprint that tends to happen through those planet positions when we were born. So it's for me, astrology is how we are influenced, but how we also interact with cosmos. And there is not that I'm necessarily always thought that way, but through practicing astrology, I can more and more feel and see how there is a connection of a greater order, which is how does that stuff work? And yet there is really something in this. And I think that's why it's still with us today. All those really ancient systems, ancient modalities, ancient philosophies that prevail time and are still with us today really hold something powerful and meaningful.
I mean, it was explored by all of the ancient cultures, and I think I had a little bit of look in Wikipedia before, and it was saying that the first, I guess, evidence of astrology dates back to, what was it, the Babylon times, 1950 to 1651 before Christ. So that's incredible. I mean, it's been around for centuries, and you know, I think it's really interesting because I'm very interested in this subject. I'm often watching documentaries and that sort of thing. So I know that they say that everything in the universe has a vibration, including the planets. I mean, the planets are all made up of different, I guess, different chemical gases and all that kind of thing, but they'd all have their different vibrations. So when they come close to Earth and things like that, it can, make a big difference with things. And I guess most people would probably notice the major differences with full moons, for example. So every full moon, it can really affect people emotionally and energetically, and that's probably, I guess, the simplest, easiest one to relate to. But all the other planets, I imagine, have their own different things. So it's so interesting.
Like, to discuss on the full moon, there's a lot of astrologers don't do necessarily, they're not interested so much in practicing astrology, doing one-on-one with clients, but more on collecting data and really researching what is going on, so to help with more accurate predictions. And there's a particular astrologer which I really appreciate, who's done great work on collecting all this data over what happened historically for centuries. But one of the bits that he was saying around the full moon, for full moons, is that across the globe, throughout countries, doesn't matter where you are, there are peaks of incarceration in the police force during full moon, because emotionally, the moon being so bright and large, it's a reflection of what is going on internally, emotionally, and for some it can bring out emotions very strongly.
Yes, and
And
particularly with also mental health issues or people who are
yes, yeah,
very, I guess, sensitive to emotions or
sensitive.
empaths and things like
Yes,
that. It
yeah,
really
yeah,
accentuates things. So
yeah.
it's so
It,
interesting. So
yeah.
how does our, because you know it's planetary alignment and the stars and all that kind of in that involvement, but what about your birthday and time? How does that influence the developments for the readings that you do and your path in life?
Yeah, well, that is totally crucial because um you need to have those accurate um details on the birth and the location and the time, because depending on where you are on the globe, it's going to change, because the chart is usually, there's different type of charts, but the one most Western astrologers use is a circle, is circular, and it's divided in 12 sections, which all represent an aspect of life. So when you have that template, depending on where you were born, at what time, on what day, the planets in the system are located differently on that wheel.
Mm,
Um, and that is very important because it is the snapshot of what was going on in the sky at the time of your birth, and the way it's located is what the chart and your life and
mm,
yourself and your evolutionary journey is all about.
wow.
So the only the if you have a friend who's born on the same day, same year than you, but on the other side of the world, you're going to have the same planet connections, placements in sign, astrological sign, but they will be located differently on that chart, on that
Mm.
wheel, and that will bring very different themes. So you may experience similar unfolding of situations, or peak of life themes activations, but those themes are going to be different
Mm,
because the planets are not located in the same place on your chart. So that's why
yeah.
information is very important, and the time of birth it gives even more accuracy.
Mm. Is
So I hope
there,
I explained.
do the
Yeah.
ley lines that cross the planet have anything to do with astrology as well? Does that affect things at all? Is it just those 12 sections that you mentioned?
What do you mean by the ley lines? The
So
the
there's ley lines that
energetic ley
go across
lines?
the energetic lines, I guess, that go across the planet. And there's
Yeah.
certain areas where they can cross and be more powerful. So I would imagine
Mm.
potentially that would affect, I
I
guess, someone's, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love what you're saying. I love that. Thank you, because I never necessarily look into that. But yeah, it would, because nothing is, I mean, this is where I'm coming from. Like, is there really randomness in life
Mm,
or not? To me, this is one of the first principle of astrology, that
yeah.
it is not random. There is
Mm,
a higher cosmic intelligence, or is it either that, or maybe it's a spiritual, more personal, on a soul level, whatever how people want to look at it. But there's still, you were born here on that time, on that day, for a reason.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
the culture that we're born in, the place, the location, the history, all of this, yeah, I would say that's very important. Maybe
Mm.
I should look into that, actually. I
Yeah, I guess
never
a lot of people don't,
realized.
may not even know about ley lines, but it's something that, I'm
Mm.
really interested in all this stuff, like I said.
Mm.
But it's different energetic lines that go across the planet. So
Mm.
look, I just in um, astrology, I've heard about the N node, which is the North Node,
Yeah.
and that symbolizes where you're going to go in this lifetime. Is that right?
Yes. So once again, there are variances between astrological schools and philosophy and thoughts. Um, so this is my background in my training, that
Yeah.
the north node of the moon, which is a point. It is not a physical um thing. Like, it's just where the ecliptic crosses between the moon and the earth.
Yeah.
So, but it's very charged energetically. And you will see, you will learn that the North Node is where we're supposed to be heading on a soul level. So the more I practice, the more I'm seeing that we are here to, there's a part of us that kind of always seeks balance. So we need to continue to integrate where we come from, energetically, from the past, whether we remember past lives or not. So we need to keep working on where we're coming from, which is the South Node of the moon, to head towards the North Node, but to find this point of balance, because none of us can really genuinely, I believe, say no and turn our back to the past. It is in us. We are wired a certain way. We were not born a blank slate.
Yeah.
And we can't erase all of that. So it's a matter
but it's all part of our soul's development and journey. Yeah.
So there's a feeling of the past through the remedy of the North Node, but it's finding balance between those two energies. Because if you just go for the North Node, you are potentially denying where you're coming from, and it is not holistic.
Yeah. But there's that saying when people talk about you've got to follow your true north, is just where you are meant to be in this life. But it's not always that easy to find out or understand or to follow that. So that's where someone like yourself would be so powerful in helping people understand that and all the aspects of themselves to really be able to follow through. Yeah.
And also you can see whether it is the first time that this person is giving a shot at what the North Node is about. And other charts, you can see that, let's say, if the North Node doesn't have any planet next to it in a wheel of the chart, it has this first time energy. If it is if there are planets around it, this is not the first time that the person is coming back to learn about the North Node mission and values and so forth. It's like evolution takes time, healing takes time, like things takes time, the progression takes time. So yeah, some people have a very, very charged, a lot of energy, planetary influence around the North Node. So they're a lot more familiar with this than others.
So if someone was born, say, at a time where there may have been 5 or 6 planets in alignment, which is rare, but it has happened in the past few years.
Sure. Yeah,
what does that mean? Would that be a very powerful, I guess, energetic person, or would that mean more that they potentially have had previous past lives? So what does that mean in astrology, I guess? I know it's a bit hard because there's complexities to it. But
and that's right. Like every chart is different. Those type of charts can be extremely varied and different. You could have, one example could be that this person really, really need to get what those signs. So let's say it could be just Aries, or maybe it's going to be a bit of Pisces and Aries because they're the sign next to each other, or a bit of Aries and Taurus. So usually, well, first of all, there's a concentrated energy. So if you have so much energy into one section of the chart, the person is going to be usually very good at a particular thing because there's such a concentration in a part of the chart of that wheel. But perhaps there's another planet across or on the side, which then the intention of such chart is not just to stay focused in this part of the wheel that has already a lot of planets, but to start to branch out, to incorporate what those outer planet located outside of this little bundle have to say. So you kind of have to bring that in. That's one example. Another example could be that the person really needs to get what these signs that are heavily represented is about, because perhaps in a previous lifetime, or where they're coming from energetically, this was perhaps missing, or something didn't quite work to their advantage, or something happened where in this lifetime they have to review it, or really develop those qualities further, or even more. So it really, you have to see the whole picture, the whole. But there is often a sense of that specificity, and being like, if there's just planets in one section, there's no other little planet somewhere else in the wheel chart. These are specialist people. They're very good in a particular area, and they're the masters of that area. They're the specialists. People want to learn about that from them.
Wow. That was probably a difficult question, so thank you. You answered that very well, because I know there's so many different complexities, and each chart is so unique, as you sort of mentioned previously.
So unique. Very
Dates
much
and
so.
times and places. So for people who are interested in coming to you for a reading, how does it work initially? What can we expect if we come to you for a reading?
Yeah, sure. I always contact them, sending them a bit of what I do, the style of astrology that I practice, and if they have any questions, because it helps me to see kind of where they are at, what's important for them, and how they're utilizing the energies that they were born with.
Yeah.
Because twins are fantastic examples. There's a few seconds, a few minutes apart, but their lives are going to be very different. And why is that? Because we all have free will.
Yeah.
So, and different souls.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that, because I have twins and triplets in my family, and they're all so different. And
so different. But yet they may go through moments of crisis or moments of growth at similar time. But it will show it differently. For one, it might be a moment of real challenge of, I should have done that and I didn't. And for the other person, they've already worked on it, so they get the success from this transit. It really depends what we choose, what we choose to do with our life. This is the free will component. So that's why I am in, what's the word? I do ask, do you have any questions? Is there anything in particular that you want to know? Because it does help to get the most out of the reading. If people are really open to anything, I just go with what I see. But I always ask, how do you relate? How does this apply to your life? Where are you at with this situation, with this tendency of yours, with this characteristic? How did you? Are you stuck in this, or you've already learned things from that and you're growing and evolving in a more integrated version of this particular astrological placement, so it really depends where we are at. So always asking questions, and then we meet. Most of my readings are online these days. We can meet face to face, but I have people from all around the world, so a lot online. Everything is recorded, and it lasts at least an hour and a half.
Okay.
For a birth chart reading, where I look at really what is the intention of you coming back in this life right now.
Yeah. What's your
This is always
purpose?
my premise, the skeleton of my reading. So there's a lot of question, there's a lot of conversation. I can give keywords and the person is going to fill in, well, actually this happened to me. Astrology is very contextual based. When the person share the context, then the placements lead up and you see how the person what they're doing with this placement in their life.
Wow. I find it absolutely fascinating. So this is probably another challenging question. I'm full of those today. So
bring it on.
While every person is unique, is there some kind of generalized collective insight you can give for 2025? Is there anything around the world that we might see develop through the year?
Yes. So
it's a tough one, I know. I guess, is there any planetary alignments or anything specific that will really enhance things for people?
So we are the world is going to change a lot from how
Mm,
we know it in the next two to 3 years.
mm,
We have a lot of, we call them outer planets, transpersonal planets. So they're the planets the furthest away from the sun. So we talk about Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. Big components of how we function in our life, but also collectively. They really influence the collective. So the global situations on this planet, and they are all changing astrological sign within 2 years. It's
mm.
very rare. I don't even have the software that can tell me last time this happened.
Wow.
This is huge. So a lot is being reshuffled. A lot of so it's kind of hard to predict because it hasn't really happened.
Yeah.
I'm way
Wow.
off. But astrologers tend to go back to, oh, okay, Saturn and Neptune are meeting next year and in 2026 for the first time in Aries in the last 325 years. What
Mm,
happened back then? So much has happened in 300 years. It's how do you make it relevant to where we are at now in our evolution as human beings?
mm,
It's tricky, but what I know is that we are all having big potential for big new chapters
mm,
in our identity, in becoming. So for already this year, and it started already last year, there are things ending. There's a lot of endings,
mm.
we are feeling more and more what is no longer needed or that has reached its life, its longevity.
Yeah.
So either we create the change or the change happened to us. But there's a lot that is collectively and also personally
Mm,
slowly ending because we have all those resets happening
yeah.
in the next 2 years,
Yeah.
2 to 3
Wow.
years. So,
Because I think
if
a
you look
lot
at
of
it,
people have been feeling a
yeah,
shift, especially those who are more sensitive to different
mm,
energies. And through my
yeah,
networks, I've met so many people who are just like, wow, this year has been quite intense, but it will continue. But there is a lot of, like you said, I can feel a lot of changes within myself as well.
yeah,
And it's
yeah,
definitely an interesting time, I think,
yeah.
ahead for
It
us.
is,
So
yeah. I think
yeah.
one of the we've got a few big themes. Which date are we? Next week is on the 20th. Pluto is moving in Aquarius and is not coming back ever or in our lifetime. So, this is
Ever in
big.
our lifetime.
Yeah, no. This is a Pluto takes how long does it take? 245 years to go back into Aquarius. So this is
Wow.
long changing. So we've had the first energy of Pluto in Aquarius coming up it was in 23. And you know how the planets retrograde from the
Mm,
perspective of Earth?
mm,
So you got a little snippet in March, April 23, and then it went back in Capricorn. And then this year it went back in Aquarius in January, February, March, April, May. And I think it went back in June or July this year in Capricorn. But now, next week, it's coming in Aquarius for 20 years. So you've got a big generational energy here that is
yeah.
setting the tone. So what
Wow.
what have we seen happening? Like the thing that to me surprised me, not surprised me, but sorry, the other word, confirmed, yet Pluto is changing in Aquarius, is when I heard of Neuralink, the first successful implant
Oh,
chip implant into a human brain to help someone who has lost motor function,
really? I
physical.
haven't heard of that.
Uh,
Wow.
this is a Elon Musk.
Oh,
Anyway, why is this important? Because Aquarius is about technology, brand new technology and advancement,
mm,
and Pluto is going to bring radical changes. So when I saw that, I was like, wow, we are really entering a new era,
mm,
potentially, of how to be human. And some
yeah.
people are really concerned about this, and some think it might be amazing, and we all
It's,
have our own
it's
agenda.
It's so
our
incredible
own.
because I'm sort of been learning
Yeah.
a bit more about in the space, that space of innovative,
Mm.
the new digital age and everything that's
Yeah.
coming. And
Yeah.
it's fascinating and it's amazing and it's incredible, all these things that can happen. But at the same time, it's extremely scary because there's two sides to everything
Yeah.
always.
That's right. Always, you're
With the light,
correct.
there's always going to be dark, and
That's it. What
it's
are we
being
gonna
able
do
to
with it?
navigate through that as a
Yeah.
around the globe because
Yeah.
it's happening so fast. And some
Yeah.
people are either all for it or they're going back to the old ways and going all natural. So it's almost like a split of the.
And
That's how I've been
you know,
seeing things anyway.
I love what you're saying, because I think the extremes is having more and more extremes in society, in politics, in the news, and in ourselves. Let's be honest,
Mm,
I think it's because we are sensing that things are in the precipice of big changes, and
yeah,
it's the unknown, and
scary.
we it can create a bit of survival, like what's going to happen, and
Mm,
creates strong feelings for a lot of people. And I
mm,
think, once again, for I think it's very important to remain as flexible as we can, and grounded and balanced, because this time
absolutely.
of change, that's all we can control. It's what's going on internally for ourselves. And what I'm seeing for next year, 25, 26, it should ease off in 27. But there's a theme around authority.
Mm,
We changing who we give authority to,
mm,
reclaiming our own sense of authority and freedom and independence. But
yeah, which has
but
already
first
begun,
we need.
right?
Mm,
You can see the changes around the world with
yeah,
people.
yeah,
I mean, we have that right too. We're all free souls.
yeah, yeah.
Obviously does need to be some conformity with things, or the world would be in chaos. But
Of
it's
course, yeah.
we're all, I guess, looking into things deeper and understanding
Mm.
things
And
differently.
yeah, and following, being more and more connected. I think potentially this will be a really, really good outcome. And we
Mm,
all more and more function from our own sense of of authority, of you know more self-leaded. Although we are part of the collective, of course, but
mm,
just being more aligned with our own truth. That's what I'm trying to
yeah,
say. On
yeah.
own journey versus
Understanding our souls and on that
yeah,
greater
yeah.
level.
And being
Yeah.
influenced, we're very influenced. We're social beings,
Mm,
but just being more, having more abilities to connect with our true truth.
yes.
So it could be very, very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look,
Mm.
we've had an amazing discussion today. I really love all the
Pleasure.
different parts that we've explored, and you're just amazing with your knowledge and your depth of view of things. So, look, for people who are wanting to come to you, they've listened to today's thing and they want to come to you for a reading and learn more, what's the best way for people to contact you?
Sure. So I'm still not into, I don't have a website yet. Been working on it for some time now. So best way is just through social media. So my Instagram and Facebook page, which is simply Astrology with Celine, the French Celine with the C. So Celine Dion, you can think of Celine Dion.
You must get that a bit.
Yeah, I do. I do. Um, yeah, so through Instagram and Facebook. And with Christmas coming, I always offer a bit of a special for Christmas, the last month. So from November until a week before Christmas, I've got a little offer. Um, Anyone purchasing a reading get 2 20-minute free follow-up. Because what happened, it's very dense. A lot of stuff come up. A lot of information is shared during the reading.
Mm,
And some people have a need to have ask further questions, or they think of something that we haven't discussed and they want to clarify some stuff. So
it
or
always
even,
happens after a readings, doesn't it?
you know how that is.
I know it does for me.
Actually, and that I want to know more about this. So, or sometimes people want to incorporate, oh, but what about me and my child? Or what about me and my partner? You know, so I can have a look. Obviously, if we bring in others' first chart, I'll do something not in detail,
Yeah.
because it's only a 20-minute reading. But yeah, so this is a cool little offer for December, where you
Beautiful.
get those 2 follow-up of 20 minutes. Within you have 12 months to use them, so you
Okay.
can really let life happen and contact me when it feels needed.
Yeah. And do you have gift vouchers if people are looking at providing a special gift for someone for Christmas?
Definitely, yeah,
Okay, look,
definitely.
beautiful. Thank you so much. So, look, for all the listeners out there today, we'll be putting all the information in the bio. Make sure you reach out to Celine. She's got a wealth of knowledge, and I think it's a great way to start the new year with a reading and to see what might in I've been getting tongue-tied a lot lately. What might happen for you next year? Oh, look, thank you so much for coming on the show. I've really enjoyed our conversation today.
Thank you very much, Marika, for having me. Bye, everyone.
And for all the listeners out there, we'll be up again soon with more episodes. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Bye.